Welcome to the Interesting Cubes podcast. This is your Toronto-based Warhammer 40k podcast. We're coming at you from Adam's Nerd Room, and today we're going to be talking about the shiny metal robots. And we're back from our musical break. It's me, Point and Click Nick.
And it's me, Paul Mr. Fist Fowler.
And me, Adam the Truest Axe. That was for you, Paul.
Thank you. Everyone's making Paul giggle today.
I got an interesting beer to start you guys off with.
Nice.
Well, I stole this from Adam's fridge. This is actually quite a nice, interesting beer. So already.
Love the can design.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
This is, Collective Arts.
Man, I love those guys.
Yeah.
I love those Hamilton dudes.
Where's Hamilton?
You do the pictures.
See that?
So this is a Gose, or Gose. It's a Gose.
It's a ghost.
But it's Prophets and Nomads, so it's pink Himalayan salt and coriander. And it's not for everybody, but I've had it before. I quite like it. It's a very pale, got a nice color to it.
So gozes, or gozes, were brewed with salt water because sometimes they were made at sea by pirates. Or sailors. Not always pirates.
True story?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, no one's going to fact check them. It's like a tinge of a sour.
It's very light, too.
Yeah, you see, this is what I like. This is why I get mad at sours, because they're not this.
Oh, that's fair.
This is what I want in, like, a kind of sour, light beer. Like, this has kind of a salty back, and, like, yeah, it's like, really light up front. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's a good beer. Collective Arts.
And it's, like,
Try about.
it's nice to have, like, a really light beer that's got a lot of flavor.
I had a Polish Tuska last night.
Yeah?
So good.
Like the T-Y-S-K.
Tuska?
Yeah.
It's just like, I had a sip, I'm like, oh, I could drink 8 of these.
That's
They're
how
so good.
Every time I'm in Roncesvalles and, like, I'll just pop in somewhere for a beer, I'm like, yeah, can I have a Juvets? And the lady will be like, do you mean Juvets? I'll be like, I didn't hear a difference.
I'm sorry that Paul is telling the same stories on the podcast again.
I'm a very old man.
We've reached that point. So we're here today to talk about the Metal Menace.
Yeah, the robotic wreckers.
The Necrons.
He stole it.
We were waiting. So they have a new Codex. Came out on Saturday. And they're pretty cool.
Yeah, so as opposed to how we usually do a faction focus, we usually do a lot of fluff. This time we're just going to give you a quick overview of what a Necron is. Really, really fast and dirty. If you want, go back to Season 1 and check out our more in-depth and much more rambly episode about Necrons. But before we
That
dip
was like episode 7.
Yeah, I know. We were just kids. But what we're going to do right off the top is our usual format. Hobby Desk.
Listener mail? Oh yeah, Hobby Desk.
I would love to do listener mail. Do we have an email yet?
Yeah, I set up an email address.
There you go. Tell the people what the email is.
I forget, but I think it's inchesandcubes@gmail.com.
There you go.
And not the ampersand.
3 different ways. Also, reviews. We'll take a 15-star review.
We've been over this.
Yep.
You can also follow us on Instagram at inchesandcubes. Again, A-N-D, cubes.
You guys
where
know
I
us.
post funny memes. And if you want to see a great Easter meme, it's on there. Because Warhammer World did an Easter egg hunt on all their exhibits. Did you see this, Adam?
I have seen the World Eaters.
Yeah, but there's another one where it's like all of like the corn demons like running up a hill towards a bunch of Ultramarines, and then there's just like one egg with like the bloodletter arms and like a corn face on it.
That's so good. Those guys are like... I feel like the humor's finally back at GW, which is nice. But let's talk about what's on the old painting desk, hobby desk, the thing we always call it. Nick, what you got done?
We were supposed to have a hobby night last night. Paul knew this was coming, but then Paul backed out, and then Connor backed out. So James and I had a nice meal together.
Okay, well, first off, let's redefine backed out, because I don't think I committed, and then I confirmed that I wouldn't be there. So it's not really backing out so much as giving you a week's notice that I wouldn't be there. I declined an invitation.
So I had a nice meal ready, and then Paul and Connor didn't show up. So James and I enjoyed a fantastic meal. And just sat down, did a little bit of hobbying last night. It was good. Going to try and do that at least twice a month. Just get a bunch of people together and just get a whole bunch of stuff done. So I tackled the Secret Weapon Miniatures bases for the Death Watch. They're the Alien Invasion ones. They're on my Instagram, and you've probably seen them before if you've seen my Death Watch stuff. They're like purpley alien stuff. It's what you see on oh man, what's the planet from Aliens? Oh, it doesn't matter. It looks like alien goo.
Yeah.
Zerg creep.
Yeah, yes, exactly. It looks like Zerg creep. So basically just got them, start with black, a heavy dry brush of purple, wash them down, another dry brush of purple, and then they just need a tiny bit of highlights, and then they'll be done. And then I actually have to start painting the Death Watch. Which I really want to do, because I'm so sick of painting Marines.
Oh man, you'll be able to paint them.
Oh, I know.
How about you, Adam?
I had some fun. I mentioned my killer combo, the 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, the Yin Yang twins, last week, and I decided I was going to finish him up. So he's done. Yeah. I did both guns, so the big, crazy, weird plasma thing, I don't know what it's called, and his heavy onslaught Gatling cannon. Magnetized them on, did a little conversion. You'd be proud. I ripped an idea from Connor and took the... I think it's the Death Company Dreadnought head that has the skull on the top.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And cut his regular sarcophagus plate in half so I could still open it and you could see the insides of him on the front. But it looks, he's got this little skull peeking out on top of his armor plates.
Yeah, it's a really cool conversion. It's pretty, like, subtle, and it fits in really nice.
Yeah.
So
thanks.
Yeah.
And then Nick, I don't know if you noticed in the pictures, but here I'll grab him so you can see. But he's standing on an Emperor's Children
God
right there.
damn it!
Rude.
What did I ever do to you people? You kicked my ass the only time I ever played you with this army 40k.
In 40k.
Yeah, so I had to model my miniature to represent that victory.
Yep.
Yep.
I like what you did with the Power Fist there.
Yeah, it looks really good. That's one of the wounded.
It's just one of the
Marine-
dead.
Yeah.
He
From
so
what?
he came like that.
Oh, it's an old bits kit.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it comes with 3 dead army Marines.
Yeah, so one guy's got a cape, and he's, like, sort of pointing a pistol, and then there's the face-down guy, and I don't remember the last.
Anyway, it was fun. I had a good time. It was a nice, like, detox after a busy week of doing other things. It was fun to just do something for me, and yeah, and then I started the frames for a table for the channel.
Mm-hmm.
I have a whole bunch of Cities of Death terrain, and so I was having trouble because there were so many pieces visualizing what I wanted, and so I just cut a bunch of styrofoam in the same height of all the walls and stuff, and made a bunch of styrofoam boxes, just to be like, okay,
just to draft it.
yeah, it's like a little draft, and so I'm just gonna stick all the wall pieces onto these styrofoam boxes now.
Nice. It's a good idea.
Yeah. So it really helps get the bigger picture as opposed to just doing one wall at a time. So that was great. And then did some Sisters of Silence and Custodes.
For yourself?
Primed them up. No, for a customer.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that was easy and fun. I like those bikes.
Yeah.
The Custodes bikes are sweet.
They look cool. I think they need, like, a non-all gold paint scheme.
Yeah.
Saw what Marco was doing with
the
his
rose
bikes.
gold.
They look really cool.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
The iPads.
What I want to do, like, I'm planning on getting a couple eventually.
Have you seen them in person?
I haven't.
There you go.
They're a little weightier. What I want to do is, like, the engine block, like a silver metallic, and just do, like, the housing and, like, the sort of, I don't know, what would you call that? Fuselage? Only do the eagle and the fins and, like, any of the plates gold, and leave everything else, like, metallic and machiny looking.
Nice.
Because, like, while I do get that they are pimped out, I just kind of want to, cut down on the amount of gold.
It is a lot.
Just to break it up.
Yeah, this is important not to.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's everything. Paul, what you do?
I started to work on a commission for a client. So Dorn is one of the things. So Dorn's all the sub-assemblies I could do are done. All the bits that need to get painted on corks are, like, pinned down to the corks. And everything's primed up for him. So that was, like, I don't know, 25 minutes work. It's like, it was a long weekend, so what I thought was going to be a bunch of free time ended up being like a lot of, oh, you're invited to a dinner party, like, better make something. And so there was a lot of hobby time spent in the kitchen cooking.
That's nice.
I made meringues, really good. And also the client had a bunch of things built by the Instagram account Anvils of Connor, who is one of the best ones. Check that out if you haven't seen it. So I got most of those primed up, but there's just one in the pictures if you're on Twitch. That's like Dorn's personal huskarl, who like follows him around sort of after Sigismund goes off to like TCB. So yeah, it's just a really cool character. I'm looking forward to painting him, and I just need to send like a message to the guy at Anvil O'Connor and just be like, it's real cool to be painting your stuff again. Like, yeah, so it's been a lot of that. I did some dry fits on a Dreadnought and like assembled it a little bit, and I'll get back to that. But that was just more like kill time while I was waiting for a couple of layers of spray paint to dry.
Nice.
Yeah, and that was my pretty chill hobby weekend.
Yeah, they look good.
And I also took up D&D on Monday.
No,
That's fun.
Oh no. So how's that working out?
Good. I'm a halfling rogue named Gantz Saint Eflin, and he's a noble-born just jerk.
Is that the one who steals everything that isn't nailed down?
Everything.
Well, everything belongs to everybody, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you can have my stuff.
Yeah.
I just want your stuff. But if you want some of my stuff, you can have some of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have anything.
Exactly. It's the way he views it is that everything's a material conduit, and sometimes money passes through his hands.
Yeah.
What's that?
This is Absent Landlord. I think we've had it on the podcast before. Basically, some rich English landlord bought an entire town in Canada and then never came here. And it's called Blythe. So, yeah, this is a country kolsch.
Sounds like the premise to Schitt's Creek.
But they have to go and live there.
Yeah, so games played, I guess. Adam?
I did play a game.
Oh my goodness. Who
I
did you play?
I played Matchnar. We played our league game.
That.
Just,
Oh my. What a terrible person.
I have scraped things off my boot that I've liked more than I like Matchnar.
It's true.
So I can't say anything because of the outcome of the game. But it was... So, yeah, Tyranids. I played my Space Marines. We played 2,000 points. And I took kind of my standard list without Gilliman. So it was a battalion, 3 squads of Intercessors, 2 squads of Hellblasters, put in the Repulsor tank. I took a Redemptor Dreadnought, Ying, from the Yin Yang Twins, because Yang was not painted yet. Inceptors, unit of Reavers, and kind of all the characters to boot. So the Gravis Armor Captain, a banner with the Relic banner, and a Lieutenant. And his army was interesting. It was 60 Gene Stealers.
Oh, can he do any less? Seriously.
It was 2 Barbed Hierodules. And a whole bunch of Zoanthropes and what are they called? Neurothropes.
Neurothropes,
With the Warlord Neurothrope. He was just a super intense Neurothrope. I think there was 5 or 6 of them. And then 1 small unit of Gaunts. So, turn 1, did I get turn 1? Yes, I got turn 1, and I kind of, deployment, I put 1, what was the mission? The mission was, it was to go get the objective in the other person's deployment zone. That one's worth 4 points. The 2 objectives in neutral territory are worth 2 points.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
And the one in your own one is worth 1 victory point. Yeah. So it's all about penetrating the enemy's deployment zone. Which I got real scared about because he had 60 Gene Stealers. Anyway, so I got turn 1 and I just focus fired on 1 unit of Gene Stealers, brought it down just below 10, and managed to get a lucky 10 wounds off of one of his Barbed Hierodules. So I was pretty happy about that, and I deployed pretty far back with 1 unit of Intercessors as a big speed bump, and just made him make some life choices. So his turn 1, he did the 20-inch move on the Gene Stealers, got to a 7-inch charge.
Oh no!
And that's where you're feeling pretty good about a 7-inch charge as a Tyranid.
Statistical, yeah.
Yeah, it's the average. You have a command point, and he failed it.
No.
Yeah.
And did he re-roll the dice?
Yep. Yeah, he had to use the reroll, and he failed it again. And that was the big game changer.
Yeah.
Like, TSN turning point, like, it, and it, he managed, so that meant it took till turn 2 to get a unit in.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, I just had enough firepower to just keep beating down the units out of combat.
Yep.
He did do one interesting thing. So on turn 2, when he finally he got a unit in, he totally wrapped around my one captain. He charged all of my characters at the same time, and he managed to wrap around my captain. So he was stuck in combat. And he had a thing where he can get out of combat and still charge, which is kind of neat.
Okay, so
that's his high fleet trait.
Yeah. Anyways, but at that point, it didn't really matter because my Hellblasters just jumped up and beat down the second barbed hire duel, and the last cannons on the repulsor finished off the first one that was already wounded. And he just didn't have enough. It came down to his 5 Neurothropes running around with their 3-up invuln saves, just regenerating each other because they were just smiting units to death.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the regen thing.
He's got a really that smite battery is a real pill to deal with sometimes.
Yeah. And he he rolled like 3 triple ones in a row for like on one of his turns for all of his psychic tests. So he was doing these things like crazy, but then on the opposite end, some of them were getting the super exploding smites and just annihilating units and just healing them back up. So it was kind of this like weird flip flop where some of them were doing really well, some of them were doing poorly. It was kind of fun to watch. Like I dropped down my unit of Inceptors, 18 heavy bolter shots, but then they get exploded because he rolled a 6 on his super smite.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Pop.
Yeah. So it's cool. We filmed it for the channel, so if you guys want to check it out, you can check it out on YouTube.
Who won?
I won. He just couldn't recover from failing that first turn charge.
Yeah, because like not being able to get in, because he would tie up at least 2 units on that charge.
Yep.
And you're overextending at that point too, right?
Yeah.
If you're like really gunning for a first turn charge and you don't make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like that tactic. It's like it's big risk, big reward though. Mm-hmm. So it works when it works, and when it doesn't, you're sort of taking it in the shorts.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's the one too where you roll 3 dice, pick the highest on your advance, and you can still advance and charge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like gunning for that 6 on those Gene Stealers and moving them really far.
Yeah.
So I did a little flank shift to just pull it to that little bit further away, and it paid off. So.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, I have no games played, though I'm going to rectify it this weekend.
Are you coming out Saturday?
I'm going to come out Saturday.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have a game lined up. I'm going to play Mike's Admech with my orcs.
Cool.
I'm excited for that. So I got to play Phil's Eldar army with my orc list.
Nice.
It was a really, really fun game. Maybe it's because it wasn't Space Marines. And just playing against a different army. So we were like going back and forth with our list before the game. And I said, what craft world trait are you taking? And he goes, a Latok. And I'm like, the -1 to hit? He's like, yeah. That'll be super, super helpful against my entire army, which has no shooting.
Oh, no. Is it just because that's how they're painted?
No, they're not painted. Latok. Everyone runs Eldar as a Latok, even if they're not painted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But he ran an entire brigade.
Wow.
So he had all of his Min squads, all of his troop squads were Min Dire Avenger squads. Super great, especially against the orcs, because they overwatch on 5s. So using them as screening units against orc units popping up and getting first charges was a great tactic. He had only 5 Dark Reapers. He had Morgan Ra? Morgan Ra? Not Morgan Ra.
Nope. Morgan Ra is a girl that I used to go to high school with.
So he had that. He had Striking Scorpions, Fire Dragons, the dudes with the Webway vacuums. The Wraith constructs with the Webway vacuums.
Oh, right. They're just...
Wraithguard.
Are they? No, they're not Wraithguard.
Yeah, they're Wraithguard.
No.
Yeah. You're thinking of a Wraith Lord.
Right. They're Wraithguard.
Yeah, Wraithguard.
I'm wrong. Oh, okay.
He had a unit of jet bikes, a wave serpent, fire seer, and a bunch of other stuff. Oh, warwalkers. So we had a lot of command points. He got to go first. Eldar are super fast because they're usually moving 7 or 8 inches plus their run move, and they can still fire due to battle focus. So he was able to completely surround the orcs turn 1 because he went first. Oh, we were playing Maelstrom of War, where you get a point for killing a unit as well as for achieving your Maelstrom objective. And then the orcs just counterpunched, and the Eldar just couldn't take it. And we just ground each other down until nobody had much of anything left. Highlights of the game were definitely commandos coming in, conga lining behind one piece of terrain so his Dire Avengers couldn't get line of sight, and then just charging the 9 inches and not getting overwatched.
I like being able to charge stuff you can't see because it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, the idea is that probably most of these dudes are going to have things that tell them where things are, whether that's orc senses or auto senses or ears.
Another, like, the 30 orc boys next to the guy with the wog banner that gives them +1 to hit just ran through. It was like warp spiders, swooping hawks, fire dragons, wraith guard, war walkers, more dire avengers. And it was just, man.
Everything you just said is just like straight up a shooty thing.
And just, I ran through them. The stratagem that lets Eldar shoot when a unit comes in from reserves just annihilated a squad of commandos because he put the Farseer next to the Wave Serpent, and the Wave Serpent can fire twice. So just zap. And I was just like, not gonna let that happen again. Storm Boys did a really good job. The Storm Boy Knob, I spent 2 command points to make him pass his leadership check because he was all by himself, and he almost killed his warlord just by himself.
I love when stuff like that happens.
And then basically the game came down to 2 things. First of all, he needed to get a kill point to push it into the win, so he charged his Farseer into my war buggies, which had outflanked and then charged to striking the Scorpions, and he didn't realize that war buggies are just 2 orcs stapled together, and they're actually good in combat.
Yeah, they're okay.
And they're strength 5 with 5 attacks, hitting on 3s, and he failed 3 or 4 saves off of the dude. So killed that, got the warlord point. The burner bomber exploded, killed a squad of swooping hawks, killed a wraith construct, and then killed 3 boys. But nobody cares about boys. They're probably like, witness me.
You need to do at least 1 or 2 guys with the chrome spray paint.
The war buggy guys and the war bikers will definitely have chrome spray paint. And then basically it was bottom of turn 6, and I was down by 1 point, and I could have either gone for a safe tie or a balls to the wall win. So I needed to kill a unit to get a point, and I also needed to kill a unit. So kill a unit to get a point for Maelstrom objective, and kill a unit to get a point for the main overall secondary objectives. And Snickrot was 10 inches away from 1 lone Dire Avenger Exarch.
Oh, no.
And Phil was like, so, if you kill a unit who's, right next to you, you'll get that point. It was, so it came down to a 10-inch charge. And I hadn't failed a single charge that game. And we're talking, at least 4 or 5 units coming in at exactly 9 inches and making it. And so I'm like, I'm not going to fail this one. And I do have a reroll. He's like, yeah, but it's not really. I'm like, I'm going to do it. And on the first roll, I rolled an 11. And Snickrot just ran in and just cut that Dire Avenger to pieces. It felt so good.
Rude.
It sounds very orky.
Yeah.
The way this whole thing went down.
But no, it was a fun game. I'm really liking that list. And that the Brigade Eldar was kind of fun because it was, you could tell that I think the weakness of the list was that he was trying too hard to fit the Brigade in. Mm-hmm. Because I find, especially in 8th edition, a lot of tiny squads don't really benefit from stratagems.
No. Because a stratagem, it benefits the entire unit usually, so you need to have more guys there to have those strategy or the command points spent effectively.
And he was doing things. I think he spent 3 command points at the beginning of the game to put a unit of fire dragons and the wraith guard in the webway as well.
Nice.
which is a really cool deep strikey thing. And then use quickening to make one of like the Wraith Guard like run up, so now they're within like 3 inches of the battle wagon. That's okay. The battle wagon's meant to get killed.
True.
I didn't get a lot of psychic off that game because Eldar out psychic me.
Yeah.
And even with the orcs getting like +3 or 4, Eldar can re-roll their psychic. There's neither witch tests. I think I got like a good smite off, and then I got Warpath off once, which was just because I forgot that orcs have a rule that if you have more than 20 boys in the squad, you get +1 attack, and then Warpath gives them another attack. So if a squad of 30 boys gets 5 attacks each charge.
Frick.
Yeah. And then the knob's in there too, just crumping heads with the power fist. It was awesome.
So good.
It was a fun game. I really like playing the orcs.
I'm glad to see an orc army. It just makes me happy.
I got used to pulling off tons of models.
Oh, yeah.
Like 20 guys!
It's demoralizing.
Well, I carry them all. They're not painted yet, so I just put them in plastic bags according to their squad and just dump them out on the table.
You hurt my feelings.
One day they'll be painted.
One day.
One day.
There'll be plastic sisters before you get that entire army painted.
I might be able to do 2,000 points by the end of the year.
You think?
I'm hoping I do, yeah.
I'll buy you a beer if you can get it done.
Okay. Deal's on.
No.
Motivation.
That was the sound of a handshake, not a kiss.
That's our standard intro that we did not steal from another successful hobby podcast.
I would never do anything of the sort.
So enjoy our ads. Adam, did you record a new ad?
Nope.
Well, enjoy the same ads you've been hearing for the last couple months.
And we'll talk to you in a little bit.
Yeah.
Battle Brothers Studios, a commission painting service passionate about making your miniatures and your gaming table look great. Our philosophy at Battle Brothers is this: your army is our army. Every model will be something you can be proud to show off. Send us a message on facebook.com/Battle Brothers Studios for a free quote and make that dream project come to life. We also have something special planned for the release of 8th edition of 40K. Right now, get 20% off if you commission us to paint an 8th edition starter set, or get a 10% off Army Bundle bonus for painting up your new 8th edition 40K Army. Inquire with us on Facebook for full details.
G'day, how are you now? Tried to paint a mini the other day, realized my brushes were drier than a Saskatoon field in May. So I did what any reasonable man in his mid-30s would do, and I hopped over to thewarpainter.com to resupply. Thewarpainter.com is Canada's greatest hobby store for all things hard to find. Scale 75, Broken Toad, The Army Painter, and Valet Ho. All supporters of Encounter Wargaming get 10% off their first order with the code EWG10. They got you covered.
And we're back.
Yep, we are. We're going to talk about Necrons.
Yeah.
New Codex came out last Saturday, so it's barely a week old. By the time you're listening to this, because maybe it's Friday, maybe it's Saturday. I don't know how you listen to this. Maybe it's 10 years in the future, and you're an archaeologist piecing together what happened before the blood tithe and then the dog storm, which is probably what's going to happen. That's my bet for the apocalypse.
The dog storm?
Yeah, it's going to be bad.
I actually do wonder sometimes, like, if, especially the way we, like, store information now, and we, like, with movies and comic books and all that stuff, like, if that ever did happen, like, let's say an alien race comes back and they start digging through all the rubble, like, just how they would piece together human history.
Well, there's enough publications about very soft media, because, like, computers aren't a good way to store media.
No.
But there's enough publications and, like, references in print media to that, they'll be able to be like, well, there's a lot of information lost.
But even that sort of stuff doesn't survive 1,000 years, right?
I don't know. I'm sure. Fine, they're going to be reading seeds or whatever.
No, but think about it, man. Like there's a reason why we don't have a lot of history, and like because like when the Library of Alexandria burned down, like yeah, information doesn't stay around. Primary sources are really hard to come by.
Yeah,
especially for ancient history, which is, according to my history teacher, the modern era started at the fall of the Roman Empire. So So we really want to talk about like modern era history. It's weird.
Well, speaking of ancient history, the Necrons.
Yeah,
They're the oldest race in Warhammer 40k. Brief overview.
That is available to be played as an army on the table.
Oh, straight up. I guess it's the old ones. That's the only thing that we know. That is
The
older.
Brain Boys?
The Brain Boys, yeah.
Brain Boys.
So, yeah, the quick overview. They used to be the Necrotier. They were tricked by the Satan into...
Catan?
Satan. Like Satan. We've been through this. They were tricked by the Satan to give up their bodies and all downloaded into the chrome skeletons that we know and love today. In retribution, they shattered those gods. So that's like a pretty good payback. And now they slept for, I don't know, what is it, 8 billion years? Like an amount of Lovecraftian time they were asleep.
Too much, they're cranky now.
Yeah.
You know when you get like too much sleep and you feel worse than if you had just slept for 7 hours?
I don't recall that feeling anymore.
Or just have woken up like that first time you went to pee.
I just pee in the bed. It's easy.
Not everyone has rubber sheets.
You guys should get on my level.
Let's talk about beer. The thing that makes you pee.
Paul, you're a cheeky bastard. And this is Cheeky Bastard Stout. Our stout is a little bit cheeky. Our twist on a traditional British stout, it combines a rich, roasted body with a smooth, sweet finish. Low in ABV, but high in deliciousness. It's the perfect blend of dark and light. So I know, Paul, you like dark beers, right?
I don't prefer stouts. I believe I'm on record as saying that, but this one looks okay. Smells alright.
I know Adam likes this stuff.
Always love a stout.
See, that's a stout I can get behind because it's not too, it's not too like coffee and chocolate forward.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has that like maltiness that I like. When I don't know, I just feel like those coffee porters and those like vanilla porters. I'm like, cool, you made it taste like a chocolate bar.
Yeah.
Do you have a beer that tastes like beer? So when it's like a good stout, I'm into it.
At Henderson's, you can get a porter mixed with coffee.
Yeah, I'm good.
I want to be drunk and hyper.
Yeah, I want to be sweaty and have to pee twice as much.
Like that's just the total opposite of appealing to me.
Yeah, well,
as a non-coffee person.
You're not old enough to drink coffee, isn't that your joke?
So Paul, is there any new fluff for the Necrons?
So there's not a huge amount. Basically, they do something that I really like that I didn't catch in other codices. So in the timeline that they put in all of these books, they explicitly state that the reason that the Silent King came back to the Milky Way galaxy is because in his self-imposed exile, he encountered the Tyranids, and now the Tyranids are on their way to kind of wipe out all the biomass, which they need if they're going to put themselves back into biological bodies. So it's like a zero-sum game. If they take it all, then they have to take it away from the Necrons.
Is that their end goal?
That's sort of what the Silent King wants to do.
So maybe the Silent King made the Tau.
Who knows?
I didn't know that. You learned something new.
Yeah, so that's the whole idea. Because he was the leader at the time of the biotransference, and he was like, "Oh shit, we got duped." So like he's been mad about that ever since. And they do have a couple of cool battles, but they can kind of usually be summed up with there's a battle, and then the Necrons appear out of nowhere, and everyone's like, what the hell is this? And then everyone dies, and the Necrons mysteriously vanish. And sometimes they kill you, and sometimes they don't. But since the Great Rift... Great Rift. Since the Great Rift, there's been a lot more of these absorption wars, where dynasties are sort of consolidating themselves. And also, we're seeing way more Tomb Worlds wake up. So if you were to take all the maps that have existed in the Codex Necrons through the editions, there's always, like, dormant worlds. There are very few, if any, dormant worlds listed in the new Galaxy map. So, like, everything's waking up, man. It's going down. And that's sort of the explanation of why we're seeing dynasties that we haven't seen before. And some of these dynasties are throwing their lot in with the Necrons at large, and some of them aren't. Some of them aren't concerned at all with going back to the biological forms. So it's I really like the way that they've given us all these new dynasties.
It's an interesting endgame. right?
Yeah.
Like going back to the biological form, and I can see it, right? Because you're like, the Silent King probably remembers what it was like to be
man-ish
a
thing.
being, and then a lot of other people are like, no, we don't die.
Yeah, like none of the cryptex seem like overly worried. So that's why
Yeah, cryptics are a little weird.
Yeah, so that's why like the Silent King has always been a figure that works in the background, and the only thing that is loyal to them are the Triarch, and you'll see this manifests in the rules. Any Triarch units don't have Dynasty keywords because they're sort of the Necron cops.
The Silent King's arm,
Right.
amongst all of the dynasties.
Yeah. And, like, it's not really clear how many people know that the Silent King is back, doing his thing, but either way, it's fun. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't see, like, a model for this thing, but it's something that, like, might rear its head. Because, like, every codex now is kind of mentioning these, like, big bads, or, like, these sort of flagship characters. So you got your Gillimans, your all the Eldar ones, like
Yvrain and the Avatar,
Mortarion, Magnus.
Yeah,
So like, eventually we'll see new Abaddon. So
I have a feeling that like that's their second wave. So like we're all interested in 8th, we're all excited about our armies again,
yeah,
and then they're gonna keep the momentum going by starting to put all these big baddies out.
you can't bleed a pig all at once. So anyways, yeah, that's sort of where we are on the fluff. They're back. They're sort of taking the Great Rift as a opportunity to punch while the Imperium is sort of off its game. So yeah, what do we want to go through first, rules wise, my dudes?
Well, so Necrons have dynasties as keywords instead of chapters, legions, craft worlds. We got some pretty cool ones, actually. Very different.
Yeah.
Very different. A couple in here I really like. I don't think any of those are like copy-paste.
No, they all feel like, I think overall, and like maybe I'm biased, but I really feel like this codex kind of stands apart from the rest of the codices. Like it feels like its own thing. It really maintained the flavor of what it was to eatable Necrons.
Yeah.
And I like that they're pushing you to play Necrons in different ways than maybe you've played them before.
Yeah, and like giving you options
for
like ways that you could sort of do it. Like you could sort of make a flayed one's heavy force, and now they're kind of like, no, you can go ahead and do that, and do we have the primo shit for you to do that real nice with? So yeah,
you're swearing a lot in this episode.
I'm super pumped,
and I feel like this leans itself to multiple detachments with different dynasties.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that that's what they intended, but that's the way I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Well, it's something that I don't think should ever really be done, because it just doesn't make sense from a fluff standpoint, right? I don't think Necron dynasties are going to fight alongside each other.
Well, luckily they give you a lot of fluff examples where just that happens, or the exact opposite happens, where like, you know, two dynasties come together to like kill a bunch of Tau, and then they're kind of like, well, we better fight, and it's just like they literally say it's just like an endless grind.
Yeah,
because it would be.
No, it's just like I was reading Battlefield Gothic rules, and they put something really cool in there that would kind of like remove something like this. So it's like you can never have an Emperor's Children ship in the same fleet as a World Eater ship unless Abaddon the Despoiler's there.
Yeah,
and like having that in 40k would make a lot of sense to me. Like, sure, like you shouldn't be able to have like Raven Guard and Ultramarines in the same list, but maybe if Gilliman's there,
yeah, or like you certainly shouldn't be able to have like
if you pay the 3 command points to get like a chapter master, and he's like using his authority to like
something like
summon
that,
aid
or an Inquisitor, or something tying them together.
Yep.
It just stops people from pick and choosing the best units for the best keyword.
But soup is good for you.
But I digress. So we have the Sawtech, which is Emotech's dynasty. So if a unit advances, it treats all ranged weapons as assault. So rapid all ranged weapons it is equipped with as an assault weapon until the end of the turn. Oh, shit. That's really good.
They're all really good,
Because
dude.
that's not just like rapid fire is treated as assault. That's also heavy weapons are also treated as assault.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't suffer a penalty for moving to hit with with a heavy weapon unless you advanced.
You know what's cool? Advancing vehicles.
Yes. That's really cool. That one's fun.
I like the Novolk one, where you can reroll failed hits in the fight phase for units with this code if they were charged, or performed a heroic intervention. You want to do a lot of flayed ones?
Yep.
This is the no-brainer because they're gonna go where they want to be.
And they reroll to wound rolls.
Yep. So you are just
Ooh.
a beast, and
Yeah.
Put your...
this is failed to hits.
Yeah,
This
there
isn't
you go.
ones.
That's right. Put your Wraiths in there. Put your Lich Guard in there.
Do Wraiths get...
Yep.
Oh, they have keywords?
Mm-hmm. They have dynasties.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. They don't have... I'm not sure if it's...
Reanimation.
Yeah, they don't have reanimation protocols.
So the one that I would probably roll with is Mefreet. At half range, you get an additional AP modifier. So if you're already AP -1 on all your Gauss Blasters, then you're AP -2, which is pretty sick.
Yeah, that's the one you use for your, 20-man blobs. Like, your 60 warrior army.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about our list concepts later, but this fits in nicely too.
And
My
then,
list
yeah.
design,
That's a lot of fun. My favorite one... Sorry, Paul?
Oh, and I think that we share the other favorite, which is the Nefric.
Oh, you've come around on it?
I kind of have, because...
There's a lot of fast units in this codex.
This is the thing, and
Yeah.
I don't need it for my, tricky little warrior bomb, but it's cool to have on all of those Wraiths, and I'm definitely going to be doing a unit of Wraiths, a bunch of Scarabs, and a Cryptek with a bum ride, whatever it's called.
So this dynasty is instead of rolling to advance, you automatically advance 6 inches. And in addition, if you advance, you can move across models and terrain if they're not there. You're going to screw with some people because you're literally going to be able to move through walls.
You're going to be able to move through walls. You're able to move through screening units.
Yes.
Eat
That's-
my butt, screaming
That is
units.
so good for race.
Yeah.
And if you're taking Tomb Blades, so a 14-inch movement, now the Tomb Blades are moving 20 and just ignoring everything in the way.
Well, they only ignore it for the advance. And they
They already
fly.
fly.
But yeah, no, because it's if the unit advances,
Oh,
it doesn't
yeah.
ignore it for the
Yeah,
advance
right,
move.
right.
It ignores it for the entire move.
Right.
Okay, move and advance is combined now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
That's Yeah, it's even better than you thought.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's super cool.
That one's super tempting to me because my initial list concept had a bunch of infantry, and I was like, you know what? I could probably get away with this and be fast enough to react in Maelstrom or whatever if I took this one.
Yeah.
Which made it really appealing.
Or falling back, or repositioning through your own units, right?
Well, you can advance when you fall back, but
No. But I mean, if you have a screening unit in front, you can jump the warriors behind the flayed ones or something weird.
right. And then flayed ones that seemingly are way out of position. Can any units advance and charge?
I don't think so.
No. Okay,
there
so it's,
might be.
so it's more about positioning than it is pulling off an epic charge. But either way, yeah, in my mind, this was a highly positional one. Go take objectives with infantry units that your enemy is thinking are not in the right position.
We're going to jump ahead to stratagems for a second.
Okay.
Use this stratagem after a canoptic unit from your army has advanced. That unit can still shoot and or charge.
There you go.
1 command point for Wraiths to just go.
Yeah. Beauties.
Cool. Awesome. It's a lot of fun. Favorite units, guys?
Man, I gotta say, you're gonna hear it a lot, but Canoptic Wraiths, they got buffed from the index, so now they do 2 damage and have AP -2 on their claws.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned it on the podcast that whip coils, they're not as auto take now because it's not when they die that they get to attack. It's if they die before they have attacked, they can attack. Which is I get it because it would be too good if they got it for I don't know, it's 2 points that. being able to attack when they died, it would be more expensive. But then, like, always making sure that they go first would also break it. So I get that they just kind of were stuck in the middle. But now, all of a sudden, you're, like, sticking those pistols on them makes a lot more sense. Because you get to fire those in the shooting phase, even if they're in combat.
So, yeah, I added a unit of these to my list, and I just took them with no upgrades.
Also, a really good way to run them.
Yeah. Key thing to note here, they have the rule where they can just move across models in trainer if they weren't there.
Yeah.
And they have a 3-up invuln save. They have a 4-up save.
Mm-hmm. So
and a 3-up invuln save.
So stuff like grav weapons.
Ah, good point.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why they have a save.
They aren't infantry, though.
Null zone or whatever.
So the best way to deal with wraiths is hide in that second level of a building, and they can't touch you.
Yeah, they're beasts.
And they don't have fly.
They don't have fly.
So they actually can't go on to the second level of any buildings.
That's something that they need to address. Also, I wish that they would just give them a slightly bigger base size.
Just so they don't fall over so much?
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Because
just put them on a bigger base anyway.
Yeah, but then...
In 8th edition, its base size is super important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, even when I was playing with orcs, like, Phil was like, are you sure they're not supposed to be on 32s? I'm like, no, they're on 25 still.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're realizing that you can cram that many more orc boys into combat. And you're like, base size really does matter.
Yeah, so that's to your advantage, but if you make it bigger...
Yeah, so I don't want to lose advantage. Also, those are, like, monster...
Well, you know, it wouldn't matter. Not with how small the units are, like the model count. You'd be fine.
I'm going to run 5 in a unit.
Yeah. But you're not losing out on 30
Yeah,
attacks,
no.
is you?
So my favorite unit has to be the Destroyers. These guys also got a huge buff in this Codex. So Destroyer and Heavy Destroyer. Sorry, Paul.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, so they have fly. They're Destroyers. They have hardwired hatred, which is metal as all beep. And yeah, so the standard Destroyer just has a Gauss cannon. Gauss?
Gauss. It always rhymes with house.
Gauss cannon, which got buffed. It's strength 6, AP negative 3, D3 damage, heavy 3 shots. Ooh!
That's so good.
And this unit can move and fire weapons without suffering the penalty to hit rolls.
Important note about hardwired hatred is that it affects hits and wounds now, right?
No.
Oh, shoot.
It's not preferred enemy.
Ah.
It used to.
Right.
Now it's just reroll wounds of 1 for this unit.
Hits.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yep, hits. Paul threw me off there. And then if you wanted to upgrade the Destroyers to a heavy support choice and give them a little bit more of a punch, to be honest, the damage output on the Gauss cannon is better than the damage output on the heavy Gauss cannon. The range is less, but the heavy Gauss cannon is heavy 1, strength 9, AP negative 4, D6 damage.
Honestly, the strength 9 and the -4 is really nice against vehicles.
I don't know if it's worth it for the price.
It's not that expensive.
It adds up.
Yeah, it does add up, but it's still not outrageous.
But I quite like just the stock Destroyers for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, especially with the ability to advance, and you can reposition them quickly. They have fly.
They can deep strike now.
One thing I didn't mention about the wraiths, they can fall back and shoot and charge.
Yep.
So that's kind of important.
Yeah. So, how about you, Adam? What's your favorite unit?
Yeah, so it's a toss-up for me on these classics, and either just Warriors or Immortals. Warriors are just they're so Necron, you know.
Yep.
Like, and when that army first came out back in 3rd edition, I was working at GW. It was basically all you had.
Yeah.
You know,
You had that Necron box. You had a bunch of metal, at the time, pariahs. The Immortals were okay, but they weren't troops, were they?
I can't remember if they were troops or
I
not.
don't think so. And pariahs were so cool.
Pariahs, still one of the coolest things. I'm really sad that they went away, but I get why they had to. Yeah, you had that, Tomb Spider, Scarabs, Monolith.
Yep, that was it.
Yep.
And your Lord.
And yeah.
And so I love the new plastic kits for the Immortals. It's a shame they're so expensive, but the Lich Guard really pulled me just model wise. But I'll just stick with Immortals. You give them those Teslas, and they're just doing shots for days.
Yeah.
It's so points efficient. You get 5 of them in your Forge Bane box. So you rock 2 Forge Banes. You got a pretty decent start to a Necron army with a squad of 10 Immortals running around.
Yeah, you can source an Overlord really easy, and the reason...
Hello.
We gotta get some way that's not opening a beer while someone's talking. Usually. But what you do is... the Overlord has a rule called My Will Be Done, where he activates a unit, essentially. So they get +1 to hit, they get +1 to their advance rolls, and +1 to something else. Maybe movement as well. So then Tesla is going off on 5s and 6s.
It's so good.
Right, and it is crazy good because Tesla, as we all know and love, explodes on 6s. So 1 hit of 6 becomes 2 additional hits.
Oh,
So this is... Can I explain this one?
yeah.
This is one of my faves. So this is... and they stopped carrying it all at all LCBOs in Toronto, which made me upset. This is called All or Nothing, and it is a hopped wheat beer.
It's a Hoppenweisse.
Yeah, Hop and Weissen.
I like that.
It's a 1-2 punch of flavors. Our All or Nothing Hopfenweizen is a unique hybrid of German Weiss and West Coast Pale Ales. Notes of banana bubblegum blend, which I'm not too sure about that, but
definitely bananas bubblegum.
either way, the ending sentence says it is a very unique brew, and I must agree. This unfiltered beer is just fantastic. Yeah, I'll let you guys comment.
It's very much a mix between a Hefeweizen and an IPA. It's quite nice.
It's got a chew to it. Like, it feels substantial.
Yeah. And normally for a wheat beer, you're like, oh, I'll suck one of those back on a summer day.
Not this.
But yeah,
This one kicks the whole way down.
yeah, you need a basket of fries with this.
I can't wait till we take a Wednesday off work and just go sit on a patio one day.
One day.
Totally gonna do that in May. First nice day in May. I'm taking a sick day.
I'm just gonna tell my boss. I'm just gonna tell my boss I'm not coming in.
If Adam can get a day off.
You know, it's hard. It's a hard life.
So yeah, those are our favorite units. Also a huge shout out to like just the idea of the Overlord, like really cool HQ unit that you can tool up a lot of different ways.
Cool.
Which is not a lot of different ways, but enough ways that makes it feel less restrictive than the old Codex did. Because it just felt like there was only one build for.
Is it like Captain versus Chapter Master idea?
No.
Explain me things, Paul.
So Lord is doesn't have My Will Be Done.
So an Overlord's over a Lord.
Exactly. So of every dynasty, there's an Overlord, and that's the Regent, and then there's like a sort of a council that kind of sits under that are other lesser Overlords and also Lords and some Cryptex.
And Destroyer Lords.
And Destroyer Lords. Though those guys, like, the Destroyer's virus is kind of described as, like, something that has been harnessed. So it's just, like, this compulsion to kill.
In the index, did Lords have reroll wound rolls of 1 for friendly infantry models
No,
within
they
6
did not.
inches? So that's what they have now. Mm-hmm. So they're technically functioning as like lieutenants do for a Space Marine army.
Yeah.
Because that's really good.
Yes, they're like a lieutenant with a resurrection orb, which is nice. Mm-hmm. And then you got your captain, but this guy's given +1 to hit.
Yeah.
As opposed to the reroll ones.
Which is way better in this army.
Yeah. With all that Tesla running around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Give this guy, I mean, we'll come to it, but give this guy a double your bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, that doesn't work on My Will Be Done.
No, because it's
The
not
relic.
a bubble.
Well, we'll look at it. There's one of the relics doubles your bubble range, but I'm pretty sure it says My Will Be Done is exempt from this.
Well, then it's not that.
Yeah.
So great HQ units. The only new unit that's come out with this codex is a new Cryptek model who has essentially a canoptic cape. So now he moves 10.
It's a cloak.
Cloak, cape, potato, patata.
It's a cape.
He can fly like Superman.
He's got spandex to boot.
That's what I'm going.
Just give him like bright red booties.
I feel like this happens a lot more to me with Xenos codexes, where I'm just kind of like, I have an idea of what it's called that's sort of close. Because, like, you know, Imperial stuff, it's like a bolter is a bolter, it looks like a bolter, meltgun is like... I could assemble a bolter in my sleep, I'm pretty sure. But then, like, it comes to Xeno stuff, I'm like, this wacky thing.
Yeah.
Like... And I had this conversation with Dave, our resident Dark Eldar player, and he was like, I'm just getting into, like, 40k, and I don't know what... 30k, and I don't know what any Space Marine weapons are. And that was such an alien concept to me. Because he played...
Literally.
Oh, my word. Anyways, yeah, so those are our favorite units.
So, stratagems. I'm going to highlight my two favorite stratagems. And this might actually change how I build my list if I ever do play Necrons. And these are both one command point, which again proves Paul's point that command points have no set value.
There's no economy of command points.
So the first one is quantum deflection. So when you look at Necron vehicles, you might think, oh, they're a little weak. Well, first of all, they have an ability called quantum shielding, whereas if they take damage from like a weapon, you roll a d6. If you roll under the damage of that weapon, the damage is ignored. So, for example, I fire a las cannon at an annihilation barge. Hits, wounds, save has failed. I roll a 6 on the damage, which is, I'm off. Yeah, I'm going to blow that thing up.
Then Paul rolls a d6 and gets a 4. All of that damage is nullified. Not reduced, straight up nullified.
So, Paul also at this point knows that there are 3 more las cannons and even more las cannons and possibly some autocannons coming his way, and he wants to keep his special vehicle alive. So he pops 1 command point for quantum deflection. So until the end of the phase, this vehicle's quantum shielding rolls are reduced by 1.
Does it say expressly in shooting? Or does it say in any phase?
Any phase.
Yeah, so you can do that if, like, a knight is too close, and all of a sudden, that knight is having a bad time.
Yeah, because he can't fail.
Yeah. Well, a 6 would always fail.
Nope.
It doesn't?
You're also subtracting 1 from it for the quantum shielding.
So you have to pull this off before any hit rolls are made.
Yes, but if a squad of Havocs is firing at you, you're popping this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you declare what's shooting, and then deal with it.
And then the second one... that I think is...
This is one of those things, like... Sorry to interrupt you.
No
This is one of those things, like, before we move on, that's like Jink, you know? Where it's going to create this weird dynamic where it's like, oh, well, I wanted to use that.
Yeah.
There's potential feel-badsies with this, which I don't like, but it's a sweet rule.
Yep.
It is.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you're playing Necrons, if you're playing against Necrons, you're going to know stuff like this is coming. So maybe either, like, don't try and fast play someone so they can't get it done, because then you're a bad person. Like, you're not playing in the spirit of the game.
Yeah.
Like,
you have to, yeah. It would be one of those things where it's like, you put up your vehicle and you're like, yeah, if you're going to shoot this, I'm using quantum shielding just so you know as you move it. And so then when it comes around to it later.
But at the same time, you don't want to say that.
You want to bait them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So what you want to do
it's tricky.
Is when this is why declaring shooting is so smart. Or so important to the game. Like, you have to be like, I'm shooting here. There are effects that you can do that, like, supersede the order of operations. So, like, don't be a dick. And if an opponent doesn't let you squeeze in there because he rolled too fast, that's when you call the judge, or you know.
I mean, this is what happened in the final round of the ITC.
No, a little different. But at the same time, that's when I busted Gork and Mork and just go to town.
Yeah.
Second one is the Pharaoh's Will, which we overlooked.
Tell me more.
Use this stratagem after an overlord from your army has used their My Will Be Done rule. Or Catacomb Command Parge has used their Wave of Command. Wave of Command is just
bigger.
Yeah. Bigger My Will Be Done. That model can immediately use that ability for a second time.
It's hilarious.
You can't target the same unit twice. So you can't stack +2 on a squad of Immortals.
Nor should you be able to.
But adding +1 to 2 units hit rolls. This is an army that doesn't have any psychic abilities either, so this type of thing is really important.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll get to the answer to psychic abilities in a second. But if we're going to keep talking about stratagems, the one that I want to highlight, just because I've always loved the units, ever since the fact that they're just included in the warrior box, and you clip them out, and like every couple of warrior boxes, you got a unit of scarabs. Is the oh god, what's it called? I'm looking at our note. Oh, self-destruction.
Yeah.
1 command point on a 2-up.
What's the thing where people just like blow up on their own?
On themselves? 1 command point. A unit of scarabs explodes on a 2-up, and it does D3 mortal wounds.
Love it.
That is hilarious. And it's a scarab base, right? It's not the full unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you can only do it once per turn because you can't pop them off. But it is such a fun idea to just have like a bunch of scarabs around something, and then one base just blows up and tears the track off of something. It is a really cool, clutch way to start peeling off wounds or something, and it'll really punish anybody who leaves like a character vulnerable to scarabs.
Yeah.
Or like a charge, and they're super fast. They're like they move 10 inches.
I love it.
It's such a it's so trolly. I love all the little trolly ones.
I mean, you could totally see like that desperate moment in the game, and you have this unit of scarabs that's just been hiding out of line of sight the whole game, and you're like, you know what? I have to go kill that thing.
Yeah.
And all you have left is scarabs, and you're like, I got a command point.
I'm just picturing like you're trying to get all the wounds off of like a land raider, and you just can't get it done, so you just charge it with the scarabs, and like you remember screamers? That's what I'm picturing, where it's just like the screaming, like buzzing bug type thing that just pops out of the dirt and just tears a guy's face off, or cuts a dude in half, or like horrifying stuff, or blows up, like just cool stuff. This is a horrifying army to fight against.
In my initial list concept, I had 18 bases of scarabs.
They're so cheap.
Yeah, I've got like 6, or like I think 6 or 9 in my bag.
Yeah, they're good, and they're good board control too.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, and then what ones were you looking at?
Yeah, so because I mentioned earlier I like those Lichguard models, so the Lichguard specific one is called Dispersion Field Amplification. It's a little bit expensive at 2 command points, but you're pumping that shield up to a 3-up invulnerable, and any save roll of a 6 does a mortal wound back to the unit that shot them. I thought that was kind of cool. Ideally, because the Lichguard are already so expensive, this is only a 1 command point stratagem, but I think it's cool they put it in. It's neat and fluffy, and you'd probably use it at a certain point.
I always find it funny that like I'm firing las pistols at these guys, and they're just exploding heads with the ricochet.
It happens, man.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to jump in here quickly because Paul's looking.
Yep.
We talked about the teleportation dudes. They have the Nefrek. That's the one that I really like. You can just use a command point during deployment, and you can set up an infantry unit or swarm unit in a translocation crypt instead of on the battlefield, and then it deep strikes at the end of the movement phase. That's awesome, because I don't think Necrons have a whole bunch of deep striking right out of deployment units, besides flayed ones and death marks.
Right. And death marks, not good.
So,
they're just not good.
Also, spending 1 command point just to have a squad of warriors appear. Squad of 20 warriors just appear on the other side of the board. That's something your opponent's going to have to deal with.
Yeah, like, it's so good. Also, there's one that I really like that you're going to pop this off on your flayed ones is disruption fields.
I saw that one,
Yeah, so you use it before a Necron infantry unit fights. Add 1 to the strength characteristic of the model until the end of the phase. This is also really good on your Triarch Praetorians with the Warglaive. I think it's Warglaive, not Warglaive.
Or Scythe?
No, they have a different sort of scythe, but it's Strength 5, AP -3. Now you're Strength 6.
Yep.
Strength 6 is a nice place to be.
For what? Sorry, I missed that question. War scythes?
Not war scythes. Whatever the Triarch Praetorians have.
Oh, Staff of Judgment. Staff of Light.
Staff.
Rod of the Covenant.
There you go. Rod of the Covenant.
Something to do with Indiana Jones.
Yeah. So you're melting Nazi faces, which I'm always pro. But yeah, now you're at Strength 6 -3, and it's for Necron infantry, not Dynasty keywords. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for like that. just to make sure that you're not using your stratagems on stuff that you can't. Also, we already talked about it. There's I think it was adaptive subroutines.
Yep.
2 command points lets a canoptic unit use reanimation protocols. Super handy, especially if they got the canoptic cape Necron cryptek flying around.
Yeah.
No, adaptive subroutines was advance and charge.
Wait, was it?
Yeah, you're thinking of repair subroutines.
There it is. So yeah, just use them all. Throw all your command points on one bomb.
That's totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, anything else you want to add there?
No, those are fun.
So, the thing that I was talking about, that the Necrons have an answer to a psychic phase, is twofold. Maybe threefold. So they have canoptic spiders, which can take the gloom prism, which gives you a deny the witch roll, which is kind of cool, especially because you don't have any psychic defense in this. You have no psychers.
Is that an item upgrade?
Yeah, it's just a standard upgrade. They've always had it since 4th edition.
What is it?
The gloom prism.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, the spiders, yeah.
Yeah, so this is like... And it goes to fluff, because they have always feared the warp, so this is sort of how they're dealing with that. Excuse me, I just had a big burp. So yeah, I just think that's really rad, that you can do that. And then, because you're losing out on an entire phase, the Satan kind of fill that void, because at the end of the movement phase, before the shooting phase, this is when Satan powers are resolved. So it's like, this is a psychic phase, wink wink. So I was wondering, do you guys want to go through a couple of the Satan powers?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
My overall opinion, and I said this when you guys showed up, was that they're good. It makes you go, okay, this is viable, but they're not super overpowered. But yeah, they're definitely very tempting.
Yeah, I mean, like, this makes me happy that I've already had a Satan in my list. But yeah, I think the one that you're going to see used most often.
Can I just jump in for a second?
Sure.
The way that these are chosen are very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They got an interesting mechanic here.
Oh yeah, that bears talking about.
So you can either roll a d6 to generate the powers, re-rolling a duplicate result, because I believe you have 2, right?
Yeah, you roll 2d6.
So you roll 2d6, and you can you get those, and you can use those throughout the game. Or you can pick them every time you use them, but you can't reuse the same one until you've used all the other ones again.
Yep.
So I like the rolling 2.
Yeah, I would always roll 2.
Yeah.
Is that you roll 2 before the game, or you
Yes.
roll each turn?
You roll 2 before the game.
Okay,
Yep.
so it's different than that like Zinch warp beast thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like you can pick the one on the chart, or if you want to do 2 of them, you roll randomly. So
Well,
you
you're
know what
still
you're gonna get.
so you're still before the battle. You're either rolling randomly or choosing.
Yeah.
But if you choose, then you have to use all of them.
Mm-hmm. I think like the transdimensional thunderbolt is the one that you're going to see used a lot. And this one, do you have that open there? Because
Yeah.
we need to read this one because it's like, enjoy your ton of math all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, so you don't have to read it out. It's basically a smite that bounces around, and it's 24 inches. So it happens on a 4-up to the first unit you pick within 24 inches, but then and then it's D3 mortal wounds, so just like a smite. But then any unit within 3 inches of that unit gets hit on a 4-up and automatically takes 1 mortal wound.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a fun one. Also, there's no denying it, so it's like zap. Also, if you're going up against a giant blob of infantry, seismic assault is the one you want. So you roll a d6 for every model, and on a 6, it takes a mortal wound, 1 mortal wound.
Yeah, the cosmic fire. If you're going in there with your star god, with the star fists, cosmic fire is so dirty. Because it's just every unit within 9 inches 4-up takes D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah. Sky of Falling Stars is great when you're dealing with bigger units. Because you're just picking 3 units within 18 inches of the shard. You roll a d6, and if the result is less than the number of models, that unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. So if you've got 3 squads of 10 tactical marines, unless you're rolling a 6, they're each taking d3 mortal wounds.
Yeah,
It's like a triple smite.
I mean, even units of 5, right? So this is dangerous against elite armies that takes little squads of 5. So Grey Knights can't deny this, and they're going to get punished.
Yeah. So they're gonna eat a lot.
The flip side of this is, like, you're only getting one of these. You can't spam little 40-point psychers to do these multiple times, right?
No.
So
No, but it's not like this unit. One, it's a character, and it has 9 wounds, so you can't pick it out. And they have area effects where you have to add 1 to the leadership roles of any of these guys. So they're bad dudes in their own right. Plus, they're also like all punching with hits on 2
Star God Fists.
Yeah. So it's not like you're...
They're not chumps.
Right. These powers aren't the only reason you're taking these.
totally. And just to be clear, they have 8 wounds.
8 wounds, sorry.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I just found money in my wallet.
Ooh, can I have it? I think that's mine.
No.
Sweet. So that's the Catan powers. I think something's about to happen.
We're drinking bows. Tastes like a barnyard in a good way.
Yep. Not in that bad way.
If you've had craft beer in Ontario before, you've had bows.
Yep. He's pouring really slowly. Okay.
This is one of those.
We're good. Oh, God.
This is one of those craft breweries that was like an early adopter, and they just made a solid product right from the beginning.
Yeah. Since I've moved here, Bose has been a thing.
They also set the gold standard for employee ownership, because they recently sold all ownership in their company to their employees, which is really cool.
So the interesting about Bose, which I forgot to mention this last week, this is a lagered ale.
Yes.
So it's hidden in a cave?
No?
Look up what lagering is.
Yeah, so a lager and an ale are different because one's a top fermenting yeast and one's a bottom fermenting yeast, and they do different things, which I forget now. I knew at one point.
And they're aged differently.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lagers were traditionally aged in caves.
Yeah. It's so weird to think that, like, they would just leave the barrel lids open back then, and the only way was because, like, random insects or just, like, stuff floating around in the air, like, brought yeast into these things.
That's where
that's how it fermented.
That's how real bread's made, man.
Yeah, it's just air. Well, it's like it's wild yeast is the term.
It's not like we're eating fake bread, but that's how...
Wonder Bread's pretty freaking freak, dude.
Well, no, if like, a lot of people who have gluten intolerance, like, if you give them real bread that's made, like, the way that it was before, they don't have it anymore. Because fake yeast, artificial yeast, is bad for us.
Okay, well, we can... We're not inches and cubes.
You don't want to talk about the brewer...
The health food
theory
podcast?
of civilization?
No, I don't, but I do love it. So we're going to move on, as per usual, to the relics. There's a couple in here. We all know my love of Veil of Darkness.
Yep.
So we don't have to belabor that. Just take a bunch of guys, deep strike them.
I'm going to take the Void Reaper because it pairs well with another stratagem. So, model with a War Scythe only, and this weapon always wounds on a 2+, unless it is targeting a vehicle unit, in which case it has a strength of 7. It has an AP of -4 and a damage of 3. There is a stratagem called Entropic Strike, where if you have a Necron character and he fights, the invulnerable saves may not be taken against the first close combat attack made by this character. So this is essentially a free 3 damage on a character if this guy gets in.
Yeah. And
super awesome. Plus the rest of the attacks that don't ignore invulnerable saves, but you're probably going to fail a save anyways.
Yeah, that's such a good one. I think the one that I love is, and this pairs well with a stratagem as well, it's a Nano Scarab Casket. So you can only give it to a model with a phylactery. So it's usually Overlords. I think only Overlords have that. The Nano Scarab Casket replaces the bearer's phylactery. The bearer of the Nano Scarab Casket. So that phylacteries in D&D are the things where liches keep the spells and stuff that keep them alive.
Yep.
But yeah, so basically you regain D3 lost wounds at the beginning of your turn rather than just the one that a phylactery.
Your opponent's turn.
Yep.
Oh!
You gain them in your opponent's turn, and the first time this guy dies on a 4-up, he comes back with D6 wounds remaining.
And then heals at the start of your opponent's turn.
Yep. So trolly. Then there's another... so if that doesn't work, there's a stratagem that lets you regen with a couple of wounds left.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're still gaining those back. So it's... I just love this one because it's like, yeah, I killed him. It's like, only a little bit. It's the end of Terminator.
Yep.
What one do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I like the Orb of Eternity. If we're going like competitive, I think this is just super dirty. You get another reanimation protocols at +1.
Yeah, handy.
That's so nasty.
Yeah, it's a better... It sort of lets your lord act like a cryptech,
Yeah.
and you're getting a reroll. So it's like your unit of 20 just came down to like 5 guys. Pop this.
And if I'm reading it correctly, it can stack with the cryptech's other +1, which is going to be dirty because now you're reanimating on 3-up.
What up? We're back.
And if you're within a range of a ghost arc, you're rerolling ones.
Yeah, so this can like just churn out warriors like it ain't no thing.
Or pop those 2 command points and do it on your race.
Oh, gross.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's some mean stuff that you can do. So now's the time that we usually go in the warlord traits. What do we got?
My favorite one here is Immortal Pride. All friendly dynasty units automatically pass morale within 6 inches of your warlord. In addition,
What else?
In addition, you can deny 1 psychic power.
Yep.
So
So
good.
that goes into the like dealing with psychic powers suite.
Well, that's again the warrior blobs,
Right.
right? Because if you're getting to the point where like you're losing 19 out of 20 warriors, and you want to pass that morale, and that guy's just standing there, you're not burning command points.
Right.
Yeah, that was my thinking with this too. That's the one I would take probably every time with my list construction.
I just really like Enduring Will just to reduce the damage by 1 to a minimum of 1. So this sort of like cuts down on the effectiveness of your assassination units, your bully units that go after characters. And it's cool. Throw the Canoptic casket, Nanoscarab casket on that guy, like, and he's unkillable. Or not unkillable, but so durable that it's hilarious.
And then there are dynasty-specific ones as well, which are pretty cool. Getting a command point back on a 5-up is awesome.
Always good. I think that's the one I would take.
Yep. Well, that's only for Sawtech.
Yeah.
The Mefreet one, which remember their dynasty rule was additional AP modifier at half range, increases the range of their stuff by 6 inches. All your assault weapons.
So that's your Tesla.
Oh, it's just by your warlord. Never mind.
That's okay.
Yeah, but still. But you can target characters with that, which is kind of fun.
Well, I mean, the Staff of Light is a pretty good weapon.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and then I always like looking at the Maelstrom objectives, just because there's always at least one fun one in there, and the Necron Codex did not disappoint me. There's one called Endless Legions. So while this tactical objective is active, keep a tally of the total number of successful reanimation protocols you make. Score 1 victory point if the tally reaches 10.
Whoa.
That's just fun.
Yeah, that's good.
It's just
What are you
fun
counting
little-
over there, boss?
Nothing. We're keeping our objective secret. We're Dark Angels, disguised as Necrons.
So, yeah.
So we thought we'd do something interesting. We were all supposed to build lists. Paul was busy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Adam's Battlescribe crashed. So I just have a list that
So
we'll go over.
So we've updated the format of this segment.
So we'll have one person, whenever we do a faction focus from now on, we'll have one of us build a list, and then we'll just talk about why we chose what we chose, how it synergizes with stratagems, and just generally giving you a sense of how this army would perform on the battlefield. So I chose the Nefrek one. This is the one that allows you to advance 6 inches and ignore terrain. So I went with a solid battalion core of a Cryptek with a Canoptic Cloak, the Staff of Light, and a Destroyer Lord with a Resurrection Orb and a War Scythe. Flanking them are 3 squads of 20 warriors. The auto-pass morale with the Lord just hanging around there means they're not moving anytime soon.
No.
And they're also rerolling wound rolls of 1, which is fantastic for warriors.
It's just a handy little thing to have.
Yeah. Also, that Cryptek, not that Cryptek. Then the next thing I have is an Outrider detachment with an Overlord who has the Veil of Darkness, a Resurrection Orb, and a Staff of Light. I might move the Veil of Darkness over to a Cryptek, but the idea here is that the Cryptek in I'll switch those two. The Cryptek in the first detachment is going to hang out with the fast attack units in this choice, which is 4 Canoptic Scarabs, 4 Canoptic Wraiths, and 4 Destroyers.
Is that 4 units of Wraiths or a unit of 4 Wraiths?
Unit of 4 Wraiths.
Okay.
So the idea here is that this is a flanking force. Being able to advance 6, phase through walls, phase through models, means I could basically put them wherever I want them to go. They're going to be with a Cryptek who has fly and is moving 10 plus 6. And then the Wraiths can do their advance and charge rolls. After seeing Tomb Blades, I might swap the Destroyers for Tomb Blades. Because surprisingly, the Tomb Blades might actually be more survivable because they have -1 to hit.
They're really good.
And Tomb Blades are dirty. They have a lot of shots.
Yeah, they have 4 shots with Tesla weapons, which could be really awesome. And then rounding out that army is a Spearhead detachment with another Cryptek who has a Chronometron who's going to hang out with the Warrior Blobs, give them a 5-up invuln save.
Mm-hmm.
2 Annihilation Barges, all with Tesla weapons, and 2 Heavy Destroyers, just for a little bit of long-range firepower.
I really like a Heavy Destroyer, I gotta say. It's served me well. 1 Heavy Destroyer's okay, a bunch are great.
Yeah. The idea of that list is just supposed to be there's supposed to be a fast, heavy-hitting, flanking force and a solid core of dudes for board control. And because especially with that Overlord ability to give 2 units +1 to hit, it'd be fun. I don't think it's like the most competitive, but it's definitely, I feel, really exemplifies the Necron thing of like marching legions and then, oh my god, there's aliens behind us.
Yeah.
Which I quite liked, yeah.
Oh dear heavens.
And I do like Annihilation Barges as well.
Honestly, they don't degrade, which is something that I think is overlooked. Because if they did degrade, that usually... Well, no, your Tesla wouldn't take a hit. But at the same time, they do become less effective. But I just... The fact that they are sort of like Dreadnoughts, where they don't go down no matter how many wounds they take. And they're regaining a wound every turn.
And they're assault weapons, so you could do the move advance 6 through terrain, and then you're just hitting things on 4s.
Yeah. Oh, right, yeah.
It's just a fun little list. What do you guys think of it?
I would want to see more Immortals, just because Tesla Immortals, point for point, I think Tesla Immortals are the most efficient troop choice.
Really, outside of Warriors?
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
I think you're going to see a lot of Tesla Immortals, just because they're a shade more survivable, but the damage they put on them, especially with my will be done. Sorry. You're just going to like blow up infantry. And
why do you say they're survivable?
They got a 3-up save as opposed to a 4-up save.
Okay.
And
they used to be strength toughness 5. You remember those days?
Yep.
Yeah,
I remember
I do.
That was bad.
That was rough.
I see. So my list. It's actually good that we kind of only wrote one list because my list was very similar, but I did put the Immortals in. One, because they came in that Forge Bane box, and I was like, you know what? If I'm going to have those models, and I agree with you, getting that +1 with your Tesla on those 10 models, shooting 2 shots each, like that is a huge benefit. And with Mefreak, if I do Mefreet, sorry, with a T, not a K, getting that extra AP that you lose out on by not taking the Gauss blasters, whatever it is.
Gauss.
Gauss.
Yeah, on the Tesla weapons, the -1. Yeah.
Well, you don't get the -1 on the Tesla.
Right.
You do get it on the other weapon. They can
But
get.
if you're rolling Mefrit,
You don't get it on it?
no, Tesla weapons are all 0 AP.
No, that's what I mean. If you're Mefrit, they get the -1.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So I just think that you're gonna see the Tesla Immortals are the troop choice du jour.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the only thing that would concern me about that is, especially with the way that save modifiers work, because I thought about that in my list, and that's why I put the Cryptek in with the Chronometron. So especially with save modifiers, always having that 5+ when you're dealing with anybody who has like anti-heavy infantry guns, the Immortals are going to be pushed to a 5+ anyways, and they don't have the squad size to survive sustained firepower.
That is true, but the thing is, any dedicated player is going to be able to wipe 20 warriors.
True. Yeah.
Like I think if you're smart about it, I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
Like we're in a post-Tau world.
Yes.
Doing 20 wounds with even a 5+ invuln, it's going to happen.
Yeah. No, it's. I just did the math. It's 170 points for 10 Immortals, and it's 240 for 20 warriors.
Yeah.
So it is. You get about 15 Immortals for every 20 warriors.
But you can only have 10 Immortals in a squad max.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, like Immortals are great. They have the weapon choices, and as far as damage output goes, using that stratagem, the Pharaons will on 2 squads of them.
Zap.
And then there's also another stratagem that we overlooked as well that you can pop, and I think it's if a unit does a wound to an enemy unit, all other units get +1 to hit against it.
Hilarious.
I think that's what it was. Or it might just be one specific unit. But either way.
I think that's Triarch. I think it's the Walker, maybe. But I don't know. Yeah, anyways, I just think that Immortals, pound for pound, they're your guys.
Yeah. I think a balance of both. Like, that's why immediately I was like, meaty unit of 10, gotta do it. Like, you're never gonna get rid of Warriors. And I think there's something so special about... Because the Warriors come with a -1 on their Strength 4 guns. So, like, Veil of Darkness, a unit in Rapid Fire with Mefrit, they're now -2. Like, that's going to be super dirty.
Yeah.
Now, so would putting 10 Immortals in there, right? Yeah. Hitting on 2s, lightning on 5s. But,
So it's a Sawtech one. It's a Sawtech specific stratagem. And if it's an unsaved wound is done on an enemy unit, 2 command points, add +1 to all hit rolls for friendly Sawtech units that target the same enemy this phase. So you could be popping Teslas off on force with a Sawtech unit.
Anyways, yeah, so that's the new...
That's really good.
That's the new Codex. You can...
Oh, man.
Like, from the Index to the Codex, these guys have really stepped on the gas. I think it's... And it's not, like, blatantly overpowered, but, you know, maybe disagree with me on the Facebook if you like. But I just really think that they have really gotten the character and the flavor of these guys. Cryptek still needs some powers.
They used to have them, right?
They used to be wacky.
Yeah.
But at the same time, now that they got a little canopic cape, I'm alright with it.
Mm-hmm. It's no Alatok Dark Reaper's ridiculousness, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't think Necrons have ever been that, like, one strong unit, though. Across all editions, they've always been, like, the entire army is tough.
Yeah, you're going to be taking groups of, like, 4 or 5 units, and it's like, this is how these 5 units work together. Yeah. This is how these 3 work together. This is how these 2 go. Mm-hmm. There's not going to be any 1 or 2 unit outliers.
Build your Necron army. I want to face them with the orcs.
I will. I'm going to drop out those stupid friggin' death marks.
I've got so many deep striking units. They might actually do well against orcs.
They don't have enough firepower.
I know. Well, I mean, I have a 6-up save. So.
Anyways, that's Necrons for you. We're gonna figure out fun time. Paul's gonna go take a monster pee.
Oh, I was gonna go.
You can go.
We can share.
Don't cross the streams. Fun time.
So I want more of these. We're going to be talking about a Realm of Battle tile. So Games Workshop has done a couple of these, Forge World especially. They've done a lot for 30k. And this one is a Necron one. So this is a 2x2 piece of terrain that you can just buy, and your opponent shows up, and you say, take that 2x2 piece of terrain, and they say, it's a 6x4 board, and they just pull out a hacksaw and start sawing away, and then you slot this thing in. So this is a...
Sorry, can we just stop there for a second?
What, you like
I
the...
love that.
Alright, I'm going to slot this in here.
And this is why God gave us Sawzall.
So a Tomb Citadel is a single Realm of Battle tile which is composed of a Power Crucible, a Tomb Ziggurat, and 2 gun emplacement mounts, which are treated as separate during the game. A Tomb Ziggurat has a Ballistic skill of 3, a toughness of 9, 20 wounds, and a 3-up save. A Power Crucible has a toughness of 9, 16 wounds, and a 3-up save. And a gun emplacement has 12 wounds, and the rest of the stats are exactly the same. Each gun emplacement may take a Tesla Destructor or Gauss Exterminator. Tesla Destructor, same thing on top of an Annihilation Barge.
Hilarious.
Gauss Exterminator, Heavy 2, Strength 12, AP negative 4, D6 damage, +1 against targets that can fly.
Eat shit, Elder.
Infantry units on the Tomb Citadel always receive benefit of cover from attacks not on the same tile. When you set up this model, at the same time you can also set up any number of infantry units on their tomb world instead of setting them up on the battlefield. At the start of each of your movement phases, a single unit can be transported onto the battlefield by the Tomb Ziggurat.
See, that's so good because, like, Night Scythes are extremely risky to me right now.
Yeah.
Because you can, like...
There's a stratagem for that.
Yeah,
but I know.
But still, you're like, ooh, okay, you know, that's...
This thing is
I'm
also,
thinking
like,
about my life.
500 pounds, like, to buy.
Yeah.
So...
So it explodes, of course. It's a mobile, it cannot move.
Hold on,
it's a building.
What's the range of the explosion?
6 inches, D3 mortal wounds. It's not that bad.
Yeah, but it's 6 inches from the tile?
From the tile?
If any part of the Tomb Citadel is reduced to 0 wounds. So that's the Ziggurat, the Crucible, or the gun emplacement mounts.
So those things, like, the Ziggurat is, like, what, 10 inches across?
No, the Ziggurat is the monolith that goes on top of the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's still, like, 10 inches...
Yeah, I mean, you rotate that board so that thing suckers in the middle of the table.
Yeah, like, that's a big explosion.
Can always shoot if there's enemy models within 1 inch. And friendly units can still target enemy units that are in 1 inch of it.
I just love this thing. It's such a silly... It is clearly the definition of, like, uncompetitive terrain. Like, it is a fortification that you take, and you don't bring this thing to events.
No.
How many points is that?
It's power level 40. How many points is it?
So what's a knight?
There's more. We're not done yet.
30,
but still.
28?
24.
24?
Okay. Yeah.
And this is, say it one more time?
40.
40.
Yikes.
So it also, the Power Crucible provides 2 abilities. Friendly Necron units on the Tomb Citadel have a 5-up invulnerable save against shooting attacks. Doesn't say that happen outside of the Citadel, just always.
Always.
And, here's the kicker, the Resurrection Amplifier. Reroll results of 1 for reanimation protocols for friendly units that are on the Tomb Citadel.
You know what? Like, forget this. I'm just getting one and I'm bringing it to tournaments.
And apparently we're just swearing.
Yeah, no, I know. I got a potty mouth this week.
And then something else awesome. The Ziggurat Dock. A single friendly monolith or sentry pylon can dock with the Tomb Ziggurat during deployment. While docked, all weapons gain +1 to their strength.
That's so intense. You know what? The hell with it. I'm bringing one.
Also, there are Necron Forge World units.
Oh, yeah.
There's overlords. So a sentry pylon is actually awesome, because if you throw a sentry pylon on this thing, all of a sudden it has a focused death ray,
Zap.
which is heavy 1, strength 13, AP negative 4, a Gauss Exterminator, which is now strength 13 because you're adding +1 strength, and a heat cannon, which is strength 9 melt-a-gun. That's fun.
Yeah, I really feel like... Well, all of this stuff existed in one of their campaign books. So
Yes.
it wasn't like an Imperial Index. This was from... not the Frozen... I forget. It's the one where the Mephrit Dynasty was introduced. No, it's not Mephrit Dynasty.
What's the Imperium faction that's taken them on?
I think it's the... No, it's not the Elysians. Is it the Minotaurs?
It might be. It's Imperial armor something. Something,
Yeah.
something.
Something on a world. It's on a planet where the fight happens. No, I totally forget. It's not Fall of Orpheus, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
It is
so
Fall
it's
of
Minotaurs, I
Orpheus.
think.
Yep, it is, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's that's actually one of the ones that I haven't had a chance to get my hands on and read.
So one of our friends, Jim, who's a solid club member and is going to be providing some terrain for the Hog Tanner, he will be bringing one of these. It won't be active. It was active in an Astro scenario when I played it 2 years ago, and it ruined my day.
Yeah. I really wish that I had brought my Necrons.
That sucked.
That would have been great. But anyways, that's the fun time that Forge World can provide, and let that be an inspiration for your narrative-based campaigns.
Or come up with something silly like putting a Warhound Titan on a landing pad and
Straddle it with 2 Void Shield generators.
Stack on top of your Warhound Titan's base, 5 quad launchers. And...
That I'm sure everyone knows what we're talking about.
Did I just ruin fun time?
Yep, it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, you made a fart time.
It ain't fun anymore.
No, that's not how you play Warhammer. Anyways, goodbye, everyone. Okay, bye.